All right, well, let's move on to Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt because for some reason this is still going on. So they're still fighting over this ownership of their Chateau Miraval winery. In new court documents, Angelina slammed Brad's claims that she is selling her portion of the winery with the intent to inflict harm on him by entering into a sale with a stranger. She said that this is frivolous, malicious, and part of a problematic pattern. So the documents added that Brad's allegations that he and Miss Jolie had a secret, unwritten, unspoken contract to a consent right on the sale of their interest of the property is directly contrary to the written record and, among other legal defects, violative of the statute of frauds and public policy. So this comes after an email resurfaced explaining why she wanted to sell her part of the property. She basically said that she did not want to be involved in this anymore, that the place kind of brought up some really bad memories. And she said, I could no longer be involved publicly or privately in a business based on alcohol when alcoholic behavior harmed our family so deeply, and that the business is therefore past the point of anything that she could be a part of morally and for the good of her family. She said that she wishes the best in the business, but and she hopes that the children feel differently about Miraval in the future. So this is pretty nasty. In September, she sued Brad for $250 million, saying he masterminded a so far successful plan to control the winery. She sold part of her winery to a stranger, as Brad said, and he did not want any part of this.
Yeah, so really sort of nasty divorce, and it continues. We saw it with Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. Now we're seeing with Brad Pitt and Angelina. So, I have to sort of question the lawyering by Brad Pitt's family law divorce attorneys, because if this was something that was important to him, this is a huge property. They got married there. It's
right.
Hundreds of millions of dollars. This is something that you gotta get in writing, because absent some agreement not to sell, doesn't matter whether it's your ex-wife or business partner, everyone generally has a right to sell their portion of a piece of property or a business. So that's why Brad Pitt is scrambling to say, hey, there's this agreement, because absent some agreement, Angelina can do what she wants with her half of Miraval.
Right. So what is she trying to do with these latest court documents? Obviously this email resurfaced saying that she doesn't really want any part of it. So is she just trying to kind of hammer this point home?
Yeah. So the email, Brad saying, well, this is some sort of agreement where she walked away and she relinquished her right to the property. I don't read the email that way. And Angelina's lawyers raised an important defense, the statute of frauds. So you can have a verbal agreement or you can have a written agreement, and they're generally binding in the state of California, except some specific types of agreement have to be in writing to be valid. And agreements to buy or sell property have to be in writing. Now, this would be something a little different. It would be an agreement and not to sell property. Mm-hmm. So that's why Angelina is arguing that, look, this agreement would have to be in writing. Brad, you don't have a writing, so I can do what I want with my share of the winery.
Right. So did she already sold this stake to somebody else? So does Brad want those new owners to sell him their stake of the company? Do you think that he'll be forced to sell? Where do you think this kind of ends up?
Yeah, Brad's trying to unwind that sale to the Russian oligarch. So he wants the entire winery, or at least to maintain that 50-50 split with his ex. He certainly doesn't want to be working with some stranger in another country. So what he's trying to do is say, hey, Angelina, you had no right to make that sale. So we're going to go back, we're going to unwind it and put the parties in the position they were based on this agreement not to sell. The question is, does that agreement exist?
Right. In the resurfaced email and some other court documents, Angelina does always kind of bring it back to the kids a little bit. Is that her just playing dirty, or, what's kind of her tactic there?
Well, this is a nasty divorce. And if this case goes to trial, it's going to be very, very public. So we know family law cases, you don't have a jury trial, but this is a case that would go to a jury and it would be public. Mm-hmm. Again, I keep bringing up Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, right. But I would expect the gloves to come off and it to be a nasty, nasty spillover divorce case where there's going to be all sorts of allegations that come up. The kids, of course, will be dragged into the middle of this, because we all know this is a lot more than, a chateau in Europe. This is two people that really don't like one another.
For more news content and exclusive interviews, make sure to hit the sub, like, and bell button down below and visit usmagazine.com.